In a 4-day period recently, Wolves, that's bottom of the table Wolves, won as many Premier League home games as Tottenham Hotspur have won since last April. While they were winning, we were losing away to Fulham and at home to Palace, making ordinary teams look good for 40 years. Never change, Spurs. We had 4 minutes of joy against Palace, which, in fairness, is 4 minutes more than we've had in about 6 months. And then Micky, not so fine, not so fine. That follows on from Romero's red against United. These look less like red cards, more like resignation letters. Igor has now tried 3 formations in 3 games. He's tried 13 players in their wrong positions. He's tried telling them they're shit, and he's tried telling them there are good signs. Joke, isn't it? It's a joke. It's bad enough having the Premier League taken the piss out of us, but now the loathsome Jack Wilshere? This cannot stand, ladies and gentlemen. This cannot stand. So we battle on with nothing. We've got Atletico away, then Liverpool away. Why bother? Why bother? Meanwhile, we yearn for Kudus and Bergvall to hurry the fuck up, as though they might save us. Well, we've got nothing else to cling on to. We've got some stupid tweets for you, Room 101 and sundry twaddle. Strap in. It's nice one, Cyril.
Nice one, Cyril.
So, welcome to Nice One, Cyril. I'm work in progress Simon Lipson. With me today are Julie Welch, and I promise you she has something very special for you later. Expletives? You ain't heard nothing yet. Kev Acott, who knows a thing or two, but no more than 2. And Dave Bradshaw, who's just bought himself a new head shaver. Dave, mate, come on. So, there we are. Now then. Sorry, Dave, that wasn't fair.
All good. It's all good.
Oh, okay. Well, look, let's get cracking then. Julie, let me put this to you. And Kev and I talked about this a little bit on our little mini-pod the other day. The Igor Tudor gamble is looking increasingly like it's going down the shithole. Is it a misstep by Spurs?
It's the sort of appointment where you just thought this isn't going to go right, and it hasn't. What has he done apart from pissed everybody else off? Still got a nice beard. It's a bit like a speak your weight machine. They put the coin in, he sort of comes out, talks whatever twaddle he's going to say this week. I don't think the players are listening to him, and in a way I just feel nostalgic for the days of Thomas Frank's nonsense, watching him crack up in front of us, the feelings of empathy and pity I had for him. With this guy, I just feel absolutely numb. There's nothing there, nothing at home. What else can I say?
No, well, look, I think you probably have summed it up for all of us there. Kev, for me, the problem with Igor is that he comes with no pedigree. And I don't just mean Premier League pedigree. He's rescued a couple of teams that were already not too bad. But this is a whole different ballgame. He's come to a team with, as it was when he arrived, 12 games left. The situation's a little bit critical, and he's tried to use a new broom. And clearly the players aren't responding. They're all in the wrong positions, as I alluded to in the opening monologue. And it just looks just like an absolute hot mess.
Yep. I'd love to know how they made the decision. Was he top of the possibilities, or did they go through 4 or 5 other people before they got to him? Who knows? And I'd love to know who made the decision as well, because that's one of the things that seems very just odd at the moment is this sort of lack of leader or a sort of excess of leaders, whatever's going on. I feel sorry for him, because I think you have to be special to come in and actually turn things around, given how bad they were. But he's not the right person either. Personally, I think I mentioned before, I'd have gone for someone like Harry. Not, yes, partly for sentimental reasons, partly for emotional reasons, but also because I think he would be better with the players. I don't think the players have any kind of loyalty to our history or the fans or the meaning of Tottenham or anything like that. So I don't think on that level Harry would be any different to anyone else. But I just think he's, on the whole, he's a good sort of man manager, and we would have been happier if it come in. I would have been happier, and ultimately this whole thing really is about how happy I am, I think.
That has to be paramount. Look, and incidentally, I was going to read this out in the stupid tweets section, but this is from somebody who, it's Gary of Harlow, I think, and he says, this is what we should do at Spurs, okay? He says, get some Spurs people into the building. At Spurs official. Manager, Redknapp. Defence, Ledley. Midfield, Sherwood. Strikers, Defoe. Captain, Archie Gray. And I'd also think about getting Rafa van der Vaart in the building to get across to the Dutch guys what playing for a club like us means. Now, admittedly, that is intensely stupid, but, Dave, there's some merit, as Kev says. You need somebody with some appreciation of the club and what we're about.
Maybe somewhere as an assistant, but I'm not sure about several of those selections at all, really. I wouldn't have gone with Harry. Well, he's well into his 70s, isn't he? And not that there's anything wrong with being in his 70s, just to be clear. But I think I would have gone Dyche. I think Dyche was probably our choice. And he really is a sort of specialist at that kind of stuff. I think he'd have had the respect of the players. I think he knows the Premier League really well. Actually, I couldn't understand why he wasn't the pick, really. I thought it fell in our lap with Forest sacking him almost. Was it just before us or just after, whichever it was? I thought, gosh, that's convenient. Yeah. It almost looked staged. I think he would do quite a good job as probably a caretaker. Obviously, he's not our full ambition to play the Spurs way, whatever that is. We wouldn't mind anything at the moment, would we?
I just wonder when people mention people like Dyche or Big Sam or even Harry Redknapp, there's a kind of a snootiness about Spurs. Here we are with this magnificent stadium, and we're a global club. We're in the Champions League, for fuck's sake. Well, you can't have a Sean Dyche, a real quotidian bore like that. But actually, Julie, the thing that's concerning me most about Igor is that, look, we don't know much about him, but he doesn't exactly have the greatest pedigree in the world. But it's this, that we've got a bunch of players who are low on confidence. We are down to bare bones anyway. And he's trying to teach them something different. Why don't we try this, boys? Hey, why don't we stick you in the wrong position? I tell you what, let's stick everybody in the wrong position. And this was exemplified by the formation against Palace. Where the fuck was Porro playing? I just couldn't work anything out. And the substitutions made no sense to me either. Why not hang on till half-time and then work it out properly instead of just chucking a couple of blokes on? More runners, people who can't hold the ball. It's some absolute mess.
Yes, it is. And actually, I think they would have done better by getting Ange back. Some of the troops actually liked him and actually did stuff for him. And they would have been familiar with him. And the press conferences would have been much more amusing. I never thought I'd say it, but I would have taken Ange back. The other thing which amused me was that Hoddle was offering to come in and help. And all you can say about that really is, yeah, stick him in midfield right away. It wouldn't do a lot worse.
Well, I hope Hoddle comes back or Redknapp, because I can do impressions of them. And I'm finding Igor quite a challenge, to be honest with you. I don't want to waste the time on it because he's not going to be there very long, is he?
Exactly.
So,
can you do an Ange?
Well, mate, yeah, I can. I'm way down here and grumbling and coughing a lot and all that sort of thing. No, I can't, is the answer to that. Kev, we had this performance by Porro that I thought was third rate. Gave the ball away with his first 5 touches, and I counted, so I'm not just making that up. And when he was then hauled off against Palace, and he went into full Porro performative mode, there was, don't know what was eating him. Something was, he pissed off with some decision or other. But it just, for me, I just wanted to say, look, stop this shit. Show your passion by doing something decent on the pitch. Don't do that shit on the touchline and smash chairs and throw things. It's pathetic.
Yep, it is. I don't know which player I hate most at the moment, but I think he's definitely up there. He's not that good. He's not. He showed flashes last season, I think, of in attack, but he's just not that good. And yes, it was a performance once he came off, and I was wondering, what's this about? Is this having a go at Igor, or is this having a go at something else? And then I thought, I don't care really, because it's just annoying and destructive as well to what's left of the sort of team psyche. And I'd happily see him go and never play again. Happily.
We mentioned this in a pod a few weeks ago, that Thomas Frank thought he was our only world-class player, which to me just says everything about everyone else in the team, because, Christ, he's awful. Kev, we've both been saying that for a while. He's not good enough. What he has got, Dave, I don't know if you agree with this, he's got a nice touch. He occasionally puts in a really wicked cross, occasionally finds a shot that whistles into the top corner, but more often he loses his man, he fouls his man, he crosses it into the stand, and then he kisses the badge. And I can't deal with this anymore. I don't understand why Spence hasn't been playing at right back, because whatever else Spence is, he may not be the greatest right back in the world. I don't know, but he's got to be better.
Yeah, he has, and he tried. I do like Spence actually, because I think he tries things. I think he's quite good going forward. I think he does unexpected stuff a little bit, and I think sometimes we're missing. Well, we've certainly been missing that with all of our midfield sort of creative boys missing at the moment. So I think somebody like Spence would be a good addition. But Spence is one of those people that nobody quite seems to trust him, do they? He's been in and out of the team. For some reason, they're not quite on board with him. Don't know why that is. I would be picking him more than the managers seem to want to pick him.
Julie, Spence hasn't had a run at right back. It's as simple as that. He's a right back, or he's a right wing back, one of those, or both. But was played out of position, has been played out of position. I think he's even played for England out of position at left back. So it speaks to his quality and his ability and his athleticism. But isn't it time we just said, this is the right back. This guy can get up and down. He's a great defender. Give him a chance.
I think the only thing you can conclude is that there's stuff away from the pitch which they don't like. Not very reliable in terms of turning up for training. All that stuff doesn't buy into team spirit. I think the England call-up was probably deleterious to him because it gave him ideas above his station. I don't know. When I watch him, yeah, he is capable of doing some good stuff, but he's the kind of player that, for some reason, I just can't take to. I don't know why. I think he's I don't want to sort of libel him. Or is it slander if you say it rather than write it?
It's slander.
Right. Yeah. Well.
But do it anyway.
Right. I think he might be a bit of a wrong un myself, which is why he hasn't really progressed as he ought. So there you go. He's a decent player. It's a shame. And we haven't got many decent players.
No. Well, that's the problem. Coming on to just generally what's going on in the squad, Kev. We've talked a lot, actually, about Thomas Frank's mental health. And I think we were all concerned about that because he was clearly suffering and struggling. But I just wonder whether we've got to also consider the players' mental health right now. They are under the cosh from the fans for not performing. They have got a manager and they don't know whether they're coming or going. They don't know what positions they're supposed to be playing. No one knows anything. And in the end, they become scared of their own shadows. And I thought that Micky van de Ven's red card the other night exemplified this sort of brain fog going through the players at the moment. Micky van de Ven is a top defender. He's a top footballer. And he got the wrong side of a bloke and he couldn't think quickly enough. I need to just let him go. I can't. Maybe Flappy. even maybe Flappy will save us. But to pull him back, he must have known in that instant, because he's a top player. Top players think quickly. I'm going to get sent off here, and I'm giving a penalty away. What is going on in that man's mind? He was captain, of course.
I think there's definitely a generalised brain fog across the team, across the club, really. They're not thinking quickly. They're not thinking imaginatively. They're not thinking with any confidence. And I think someone like Tudor is not capable of sort of working with that psychological mess, really. I think he probably can do the scare the hell out of them or be nice to them, but it needs a lot more than that. And you've got however many fit players, we've got 13, 14 different personalities, and all of whom are underperforming and not thinking and not doing what they're capable of. And how long that's been the case? Was that the case under Ange? Just going back to what Julie said about Ange, was that the case with him? Because, yeah, we had, from a league point of view, they were poor and looked almost as poor as they have this year, really. He was able to get some kind of motivation and just, I don't know, sort of lift the fog for when it really, really counted. I don't know who can do that. I wonder sometimes whether there's other stuff going on that we don't know in terms of relationships between the manager and team, or within the team, within the squad. I don't know. You suspect in whatever 5-10 years time stuff might come out about this whole period. There's some really toxic stuff going on.
This sort of thing can happen in workplaces, can't it? I think we probably all have experienced that sort of thing at certain periods of time. If things start to go a bit pear-shaped and you've got one or two disruptive people, or one or two people who are taking the piss or whatever it might be, who are not getting dealt with, I couldn't agree more. The other one that has always struck me is that looking from the outside of any organisation, it's absolutely impossible to tell what goes on behind the scenes. Everybody's putting on an act when, as we said, with people like Porro. And I completely agree with Kev on that.
Dave, just staying with you for a second. Where are we? We're a point above West Ham and Nottingham Forest. They are playing. They're actually looking like teams with a bit of spirit and a bit of cohesion, as are Leeds, as are Wolves, and even Burnley for that matter. And, higher up, all those teams are showing something. Of all of those teams then in the bottom 6 or 7 within reach of us, we seem to be the only one without anything. I mean, literally with nothing. And it's deeply concerning. And is it time we embraced not just the possibility, the likelihood of relegation?
I do think it is. I'm already beginning to sort of steel myself for that. I think everybody's been really slow to react to it, actually. Lots of pundits in the papers and on TV and even the betting markets. I mean, I think we've been talking about for at least since Christmas that we felt we were on a really big slide. And yet everybody's like, oh, no, Spurs are well clear of it. Well, now we're not. And I do think there's this, a bit going back to what Kev said about the toxicity. I think this would flush all of it out. I mean, I think the owners would have nowhere to hide. I mean, we would be the biggest club ever to have been relegated, certainly in the Premier League era. And the stadium only serves to kind of like amplify how grim that would all be. I've seen people online talking about, Lincoln are already celebrating that they're going to be coming to N17 next season and stuff like that, and how they're all going to be, they're going to be like playing in a palace and whatever else. I think we'll come back up without big problem. I think the owners would have to spend money, not least to restore their asset to where they think it is before presumably they want to sell it. And as I say, I think it would flush away a lot of the garbage, and maybe the owners in due course as well.
I mean, the owners, Julie, are a huge problem now. I mean, they've been a huge problem for a long time. But I guess, I suppose with Levy there, you felt at the very least there's a bloke who's decisive and gets things done, and he might do a lot of things wrong, but you sort of felt there's a relatively competent hand on the tiller. Now you have these faceless people. We've talked about, Vinay, and we've talked about Langer. People with absolute... I mean, where is Vinay now? He was very loquacious not so long ago, telling us, whoa, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, after Levy was fired. And he's very quiet now. And I fear, really, that although they're driven by the business thing, it's money, and they've probably done some sums, haven't they? And thought, well, if we go down to the Championship, well, we pay the players less, but then we get probably people not coming through the turnstile and might lose some of our commercial partnerships and blah, blah, blah. They must have done their sums, and they must realise going down would be horrendous for the balance sheet. Yet they do not have the understanding or expertise or the decisiveness to do something about it, because for me, I'd be getting rid of Tudor now, and I'd be saying, look, okay, experiment didn't work. Let's admit the failure of this, and let's do something absolutely drastic. Whatever it takes, we've got to stay up.
Whatever we thought of Levy, he did know how to run a business, and I think the people in charge now are incompetent. It feels like they haven't grown up in the business of football, for a start, whereas Levy knew it very well. I think Vinay is hiding. None of them are really showing their faces, are they? There's no sense of direction at all. As you say, this is the time when, a courageous board would actually say, this is what we're going to do. I must say that Tudor was actually Paratici's recommendation before, last year, before he flounced out. And of course, I think was the fact that they didn't get rid of Thomas Frank when things started to go wrong at Paratici's recommendation and hire Tudor. We might be in a different situation now if they'd acted then. They didn't. And the whole thing has been, they're playing this game of stick or twist, and it's always been stick. To repeat, they are incompetent. They have grown up in a different world. None of them seem to understand football. So that's where we are. And to go back to something else we were talking about, I think the players have become very self-conscious, which is, again, part of anxiety. And I think that has got a lot to do with what's going on the pitch. They're constantly being filmed for social media, things like that. I think a lot of that was that fed into Pedro Porro's thespian stint when he was hauled off against Palace, because that's what they have to do. And I think self-consciousness is absolutely fatal for them now. And I can't see it getting any better, because, they've got this unknown bloke who doesn't really know much about the Premier League probably shouting at them. They're probably on the phone to their agents all the time, finding out where they can go next. Who would you keep of the current squad? It's sort of got to that stage.
You make a great point. I think players they're just so conscious of being seen. It's an old cliche, but they're under the microscope, every one of them. And they look like they are, with Porro's doing his thing, and Micky was, he's done a couple of things that didn't look great, and so it goes on. And it's a very unedifying. The other thing, Dave, I mean, we're going to talk about the tin ear of this current operation at Spurs, but it emerges this week that they're looking for a new sporting director, obviously to replace Paratici. And you think, really, could you not have kept that piece of irrelevance to yourselves? We don't want to know about this shit. We want to know how you're going to save us from relegation. It is so utterly, a failure to read the room.
It is, absolutely. We need now, actually. We need Beyonce or Taylor Swift on a season-long loan, don't we, next season to fill the stadium to make up the shortfall.
Kevin, it's I tell you what, why don't we do this bit now? You came across a bit of something on social media, released, I don't know when it came out, must have been a little while ago an announcement that presaged some meeting or some, I don't know, was it an event, a conference or something? But give us a taste of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an example of that when social media just sort of drives you completely mad because you don't know anymore what's true and what's not. But I think this is true because it's written in true corporate speak. It's a sort of presentation at the Austin Marriott, and I'm assuming that's the Austin in Texas. And the main speaker is Ryan Norris from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who's our Chief Revenue Officer. I didn't know we had a Chief Revenue Officer, but that's good, isn't it? And it's sort of advertising this speech that he's given, this presentation. Tottenham Hotspur has redefined what a modern football club can be. It starts, and I think we all agree with that.
Yeah,
Emerging as a globally recognised brand, love that word, built on sport, culture and partnerships. In this session, Tottenham's Chief Revenue Officer, Ryan Norris, will share the club's innovative partnership strategy and global stadium vision before welcoming special guest, I can't pronounce this, Rugi Villaseñor, founder of Rude, which has an H in it, to the stage. See, it does, even this sentence is grammatically incorrect. To the stage to discuss. I'm rewriting it as I read it because it's so badly written. To discuss the future of football, fashion, and culture, and a live hologram appearance from a Spurs player back in the UK. And obviously, one of the many questions I'd have about that is which player is going to be there by hologram.
Easy, Pedro Porro, all day long.
It's
Will
just
the hologram be more effective than our current actual backline? That's the question.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Well, actually, I wonder if we could put out 11 holograms.
It's a way forward.
What the fuck? They've got to be better than this lot. Well, that's thank you for
Pleasure.
that, Kev. That is so depressing. So depressing to have to listen to that twaddle from our club. All right, look, I tell you what, let's have a little look quickly at some of the stupid transfer rumours. I mean, I guess this is something, Julie, we can expect now because to the extent that we've got any cherries worth picking, people are going to start speculating. So, for example, we've heard this week that Newcastle want Solanke. Eddie Howe wants him to work with him again. Vicario is going back to Italy, and frankly,
take him.
I'm all for that. Anywhere in Italy, I don't care. Just go. And Van de Ven to Liverpool or Real. The other ones that concern me are Bergwijn to Chelsea or Liverpool, and Vuskovic, who is making mincemeat of the Bundesliga without ever playing for us. Everybody wants him, and we're going to lose him. And I don't give any credence to any of this shit. But eventually, if we do get relegated, there's a strong chance that we're going to lose at least the more decorated senior players, aren't we?
It would be okay if we managed to hang on to Archie Gray. There was a rumour that Richarlison had an offer from, I think, Italy again. I mean, I don't know what anybody thinks about that. Who hasn't been offered for? Nobody seems to want Xavi. Frankly, not terribly surprising at the moment. I mean, having looked incredibly lively and promising for about 3 hours, he seems to have sort of scuttled back into his shell now. Poor little bloke. So, yeah, has anybody made an offer for Udogie yet? Or is he so often injured that nobody's noticed him for a while? That's another thing about this squad. It's very difficult to get fond of any of the players, really, isn't it? Because normally, there's always a few players you just absolutely love. In my case, I'd have their babies, honestly. It wouldn't break my heart to lose any of them. It really wouldn't, apart possibly from Archie Gray, who is such a nice lad.
And a good footballer.
Well, yeah. The trouble is, you see, players like Bergwijn, they've been out so long. I've absolutely forgotten whether they're any good, any use. You lose the thread of a player's career. Kudus. Who the hell's he? When did we last see him? It's like that. It's kind of a football reenaction of the wasteland as far as I can see at the moment.
I would think, Dave, I don't know if let's just sort of count them off. The ones who are likely to come back are Berrival, Kudus, and I think Udogie is going to be fit. If not for Liverpool, then I know there's this very long break, isn't there, after the Forest match? It was like a 3-week. Yeah. So, and there's still enough games left. There's still be 7 games, and we can bring back that. I mean, I think Berrival is a big miss because his energy and his abilities, and also I don't think he's going to be cowed by the situation that the club finds itself in. I think he's going to be more than happy to carry the ball, do what he does, and not worry about any of that shit. Kudus would give us some ball adhesion up top, and Udogie could only stay fit. He's obviously our best left back. We're obviously going to lose to Liverpool because we always do. And then we have Forest. I don't know whether any of those guys will be back for Forest. By the way, Julie, you know who'd be good in our team right now?
Go on.
Mikey Moore. Okay. Mikey Moore.
I knew I was just timing you, actually. I thought, how long is it going to be before Simon talks about Mikey Moore? So you managed to last 42 minutes, Simon, without mentioning Mikey Moore.
I'm proud of myself. Well, he had a very good... Dave, I don't know if you watched the latest Glasgow derby.
I managed to miss the...
He was the best player on the pitch.
He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And he looks like he can handle himself in the roughest of roughhouses. It's not the highest quality league, but it's physical enough, isn't it?
Let's talk about Flappy, shall we? And in broader terms, Spurs goalkeepers. I consigned Flappy to room 101 not that long ago. He's still out there, where there were rumours that Kinski was going to play against Palace. That didn't happen. But goalkeepers, they should be the bedrock, shouldn't they, of any decent team?
I guess this point's been made, but I was chatting to, actually, because I was out drinking with my friend when that whole Palace debacle. I was at a pub in London Bridge with the most enormous screen. So even inside the pub, you could see all the horror unfolding and people jumping up and down when Palace goals went in and stuff. And my mates always made this point. He always used to go on about Lloris not commanding the area. He was too short in his head. Lloris was too short. Vicario, obviously, Flappy, etc. We just have not had that kind of reliable keeper in a long, long time. And when you look at the teams that win stuff, they almost always have really super reliable keepers, don't they? I mean, United with Schmeichel the younger at Leicester for that bloody season as well. Ederson, Alisson, who else? Oh, bloody Raya this season. Jesus Christ. I mean, he looks like
Donnarumma.
Yeah, I mean, Raya this season looks absolutely out of this world, doesn't he? Completely commands the area, hyper physical. And it's just limited us. I wonder whether, if we'd had a different, I'm going back to Lloris, if we'd had a different keeper then, would we have won a trophy or two then? Who knows? I mean, I know he played well for us for a long, reasonable periods of time, but we were always vulnerable corners and free kicks with Lloris. And obviously now it's, you guys have covered it very well with Flappy. We don't need to go over that ground again, but
Kev, we again was something we touched on before, but it seems to me that increasingly, as Flappy has shown his vulnerability to virtually every fucking facet of the game, that the defenders around him have no confidence in him, and I think that confidence breeds on itself, so that they stop trusting themselves because they don't trust the keeper. Maybe they feel they've got to do more covering, that they've got to protect him more at corners because he can't protect himself. All of that feeds into this overall sense of unreliability and shakiness.
No, he doesn't trust himself. Fans don't trust him. And that's so evident against Palace, I think, that, in the first dodgy thing he did, people were on him. And I'm not having to go at fans for that. We need someone solid. The defence needs someone solid. And it's not him. I don't know how much he's gone downhill since we got him and how much that's about the people around him and how he's been managed. I don't know. He does the reflex stuff still because it's reflex stuff, but anything he has to think about at all, he can't. He just can't do it, and he's getting worse and worse.
It also comes back to Julie's point about being self-conscious. I think, as you say, he's can't even do the simple stuff anymore because he's become so aware of the fact that A, he's vulnerable, and B, we all know he's vulnerable. So, why would you thrust yourself into this position where you're just going to have everybody saying, well, we knew it, typical, here we go again. It's a difficult state of affairs. All right, I tell you what we're going to do now. Julie.
Yeah.
Listen, the stage is yours.
Right.
Do your thing.
Well, this is something which it doesn't have an author, except it might be Grok. Came over on social media. And it's a love letter to sporting director Johan Lange. It's beautiful prose. They've described Johan Lange as the human equivalent of a wet fart in a crowded stadium. Loud, useless, and leaving everyone gagging. Sporting director, my arse. More like the village idiot who scouts players from the bargain bin at Poundland and signs them for 50 million, like a brain-dead gambler with erectile dysfunction. Your recruitment has turned Spurs into a laughingstock. A squad of overpaid wankers who couldn't score in a brothel with a fistful of fivers. Everything's gone to shit since your useless Viking arse showed up. Managers sacked, seasons flushed, fans screaming Lange out because you're stealing a living while the club circles the drain. Fuck off back to Denmark, you talentless prick. Even IKEA furniture assembles better than your transfer strategy. Die mad, you bald-headed bellend. Forever. Come on, you Spurs, without you.
Well, that's quite the tribute, isn't it? And beautifully delivered by Julie Welch. Whoever wrote that, and if it was Grok, then bravo. Lange's inaction is something of a, like here we were with a transfer window with 11 or 12 players out injured. And these weren't short-term injuries, these were long-term. And we didn't buy it. We bought one bloke.
To replace
who was kind of first team
one
ready.
for one.
Yeah, exactly. And he's turned out to be a dud. Or, I know Callaghan's a good player, but he's not done. He wasn't the game changer we needed, or the guy who can stand on the ball and do stuff. And it's an absolute dereliction of duty.
It's incredible. Again, these people are meant to be businessmen. And again, if there was a missing part in a factory or a missing function in a company, that would be replaced almost instantly. I mean, it was so screamingly obvious, wasn't it, to everybody? They could have spent money. They really could have blown. I mean, this money that was meant to become available when Levy left, or in the aftermath of Levy leaving, was 150 million and all this. There was no sign of that at all. No, it's dreadful, dreadful. So he fully deserves Grok's ire, I would say.
He absolutely has. Well, look, I tell you what, let's have a little bit of Room 101, shall we? Kev, what do you got for us this week?
It's been annoying me for a long time, actually. It's tifos. It came to a head before the Arsenal match, and there was this thing, I don't know if you remember, I think it was last season, no, I can't remember, where everyone was taking the piss out of Arsenal's tifo because it looked like it had been put together by a couple of sort of 12-year-olds at the last minute. And even at that point, I thought, there's a lot of things to have a go at that club about, but their tifo making is really quite low on the list. And there was this big thing about the tifo against when we played them at home a couple of weeks ago. I was standing there in the south stand, holding up my little blue plastic carrier bag thing, taking part in it, hating myself for taking part in it. And I just thought, it goes with the over-loud music before the match. It goes with the over-loud music as soon as the final whistle goes. It's a pretend creation of something. It goes with that nonsense about the brand, I think. You see good tifo. There are good tifos. I think Eastern European teams seem to do quite good ones, often, upsetting UEFA as they do it, and some of them a bit, maybe not the most politically correct. But this isn't like that. This isn't making a point, except this is our brand. Have a look at our brand. This is our tifo's better than Arsenal's tifo, and I don't care. And I don't think anyone really cares.
No, of course not. It's utterly puerile. I think, talking about some of the Eastern European ones, I think they just say things like, no blacks, no Jews. That sort of... But it looks great. It looks lovely. So, all right, look. Julie, have you... I might have to edit that out. Julie, have you got a room 101 for us?
Well, I've sort of shot my bolt a bit with the diatribe against Lange, but what I would put in room 101 is Lange and Vinny, actually, because they are absolutely no use to man or beast. And that's really all I can say.
Now, Dave just sent me a panicked note saying I haven't got a room 101 for you this week. So that's all right, Dave. You won't be coming back on the show, but don't let that bother you. So I've got one for you. It's this: footballers wearing gloves. Stop it. Stop it. And I know we have to look to our own here, the great Dom Solanke, wearing gloves, come rain or shine. And look, unless you're suffering from Raynaud's disease or something similar, there's no excuse for this. Just man up. And yeah, if your hands get cold, tough shit. To me, it would suggest a player who's a bit delicate. Don't do that shit with me. Get rid of those gloves. All right, so that's it. Now then, because this podcast is going to be out on Tuesday, anything we say about the Atletico Madrid match is going to sound like old news very quickly. So let's at least touch on it, shall we? Dave, I don't give a shit about this match to the extent that I almost can't be bothered to watch it. It will be such a kick in the balls if we're brilliant and come away with a 2-0 win, and then we turn up at Liverpool and we get smashed 8-0. And I just don't care about this match. Where do you stand on it?
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I go to no feeling about it at all. Are they going to play kids? Are they going to do kind of one of these almost sort of thing that Wenger used to do in the League Cup when he was at Arsenal, and play a load of 17-year-olds and give them all some experience before we sell them all when we get relegated? I don't know. No, I don't care. I don't care.
Well, I won't ask you for a prediction. Kev, when I said it would really piss me off if we played really well, what I mean by that is, why would the players turn it on in the glamour of the spotlight of European football and not do it against a wet weekend against Fulham? That would just be like them. It would be so pointed for me. And I don't know if you feel the same, or you were saying on our short pod, maybe you thought that if they played well, it might be the fillip they need for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I'm still going with that. I do care because I think it's a rare opportunity to maybe just shift things in the right direction. Obviously, if we get completely hammered, then it'll have the opposite effect. But I personally, I would play our best team. I wouldn't rest whoever that is, whoever Igor thinks is our best team, and be happy with the draw. I bought a ticket for the home leg, which goes against what I usually do because I object to having to pay extra having a season ticket. But I did do it, and I did it before I even thought about it, really. So that actually gives me a bit of even more motivation to want us to do well tomorrow. If we do well tomorrow, it's not necessarily a condemnation of the players. I think it might just be just that just confidence that self-consciousness might be a bit less.
Yeah. Julie, you know who I'd like to see playing in this match? Micky Moore. Anyway, So, yeah,
course.
now, as Dave just pointed out on chat to me, that this is where we lost the 2019 European Cup final. I was there, boiling hot day, and it was a incredibly proud moment. It's very surreal and ultimately disappointing. But I thought, fuck, wait, this will never happen to us again. Or certainly won't happen in my lifetime. It's now more remote than ever. How are you viewing this match?
Pretty much like that, because the way things are going, we won't get many more chances to see Spurs in the Champions League. So I'm going to watch, and I'm looking forward to it. Even if it's absolute shit, at least they're there. I think that for whatever reason, they do play better in the Champions League or in Europe altogether than in the Premier League, which doesn't say much about the standard of other leagues in Europe. So I don't know. This is a naive question, I know. Is Romero able
Yes.
to play in it?
Yes, says Kev. Kev knows his stuff.
Yeah. And if he gets sent off, what happens?
That's very optimistic. Well, who knows? I mean, and of course, when he comes back in the Premier League, he's got 2 bookings away from another suspension, which will take him 2 matches, I guess. There we are. After that, we've got Liverpool. Now, there used to be this stat, didn't there, Dave, that we hadn't won at Liverpool since the Titanic sank.
But I was there in 85.
I thought you were going to say you were there in 1912.
Absolutely, yes. We got a special pennant, which I've still got somewhere, from the supporters club. Yeah,
Well,
that was quite memorable, actually.
But of course, we haven't won since then.
One of those games where Liverpool regain their, Salah will regain his mojo and all that sort of thing, isn't it? And they'll remember why they, he was the new Pharaoh's Anfield or whatever.
Give me something, Kev.
No, I can only give you. Hopefully, it won't be 7-0. I can't remember when that was. When we lost 7-0. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic it won't quite be as bad as that. There we are.
I think that was the season we came up, wasn't it? When we just bought Ozzy and Ricky. I've got a feeling it was
Was it
78,
7-0?
78, 79.
I don't think Liverpool are much cop this season, but obviously we're terrible. But you just wonder, we just talk about the Arsenal game being a bit of a free hit. Is this a free hit?
Of course it is. I mean, it's going to be, Salah hat-trick at least. And there'll be other hat-tricks, there'll be braces, there'll be 4s. It's just going to be terrible. I just can't even think about it. Just don't even think about being optimistic, because they'll outplay us completely.
I've just totted up all of your braces and hat-tricks and 4s, and so we're going to lose 12-0. What a depressing note on which to finish. My thanks to Julie Welch, Kevin Acott and Dave Bradshaw. Why not give us a follow on Twitter @NiceOneCyrilPod. We have our own website, www.niceonecyrilpodcast.co.uk. We're all over social media, and why not give us a follow or subscribe to the podcast on the platform of your choosing, and you will never miss an episode. Thanks for joining us today. I don't suppose we brought any cheer or optimism, but hopefully it was entertaining enough. And if for no other reason than having Julie give us a volley of expletives in her beautiful cut glass accent. So listen, that was worth it. Thanks for joining us, and we will be back next week. Until then, come on you Spurs.
Nice one, Cyril. Nice one, Cyril.
Nice one, Cyril. Nice one, Cyril.